Good morning, students. I, Sadaf Khan from the Millennium School, South City, welcome you to this session of chemistry. Students, in my previous video, we were discussing the quantum mechanical model, where I had introduced you and explained to you the probability of finding an electron as a function of the wave function psi. And this was given by the Schrodinger's wave equation. Also, I had told you that when we solve the Schrodinger, that as a natural solution to the Schrodinger's wave equation arise the three quantum numbers, and there I had introduced you to the term quantum numbers. So in this session, I am going to take up in detail what are quantum numbers and their types and how we can do questions on quantum numbers. Alright, so students, to start with, what are quantum numbers? Actually, quantum numbers are nothing but they are used as an accurate description for an electron. How do we describe accurately the position, the energy of an electron? Quantum numbers are very effective in doing that. So what are quantum numbers? Quantum numbers give the complete information about the electron in an atom. So a complete information about an electron is given by quantum numbers. What is the information about? Principal energy level, the shell. Principal energy level is the shell in which the electron is present. Sub energy level is the subshell in which the electron would be present. Orientation of the orbital and spin of the electron. So information related to the principal energy shell, the subshell, the orbital and the spin of the electron is given by the quantum numbers. Before proceeding with this, because I'm just talking about these terms, principal energy level, sub energy level, let me just tell you, students, that when we talk about an atom, it has a positively charged nucleus, and now you know that we have described the wave function psi, the modulus of psi square, as a three-dimensional space around the nucleus where the probability of finding an electron is maximum. Alright, so around the nucleus in the three-dimensional space an electron can be located, which is directly proportional to the electron density psi square, wave function psi square. Now in an atom, you know that we have been talking about that the electrons revolve around the nucleus in shells, in specific energy, in fixed energy states that are known as stationary states, orbits or shells. Now in a shell is composed of subshells. So a shell has many subshells. Each subshell is then composed of orbitals, many orbitals. Alright, a shell is composed of subshell, a subshell is composed of orbitals, and within each orbitals a maximum of 2 electrons can be present. So there could be many orbitals within a subshell, but each orbital will have a maximum of 2 electrons, and these 2 electrons will be in opposite orientation with respect to their spin. The electrons are moving particles, they spin around an axis. Their orientation would be opposite, means if one electron is spinning in an anti-clockwise direction, the other one would have a clockwise spin. So they have opposite spin. Again I repeat, an atom has electrons revolving around in shells. A shell is composed of subshell. A subshell has many orbitals, and each orbital can occupy a maximum of 2 electrons. Alright, so in an orbital 2 electrons can be present, and these 2 electrons have opposite spins. So coming back to the quantum numbers, they give us information regarding complete information of an electron regarding the principal energy level in which they are present, the sub energy level, the orientation of the orbital and the spin of the electron. They are required to describe completely the position and energy of an electron in an atom. So the 4 quantum numbers that you are going to study are principal quantum number, azimuthal quantum number, magnetic quantum number and the spin quantum number. These 4 quantum numbers you are going to study. The principal quantum number is denoted by letter N, azimuthal quantum number by letter L, magnetic quantum number by small letter L with a subscript small l, M with the subscript small l, and spin quantum number M with the subscript small s. Right? Now I'm telling you, it is providing us the complete information about the position and energy of an electron. Now position, you can just imagine in terms of giving your address to someone who's trying to locate you. How do you give your address? First, you give the country in which you are residing, then the city, country like India, city in Lucknow, which locality you are there in Mahanagar, and then you give your house number, and house number, say suppose B by 41 is your house number. So it is that in this house you will be present. So basically these quantum numbers follow the same analogy. They follow the same analogy. If country is analogous to principal quantum number, that is the shell in which the electron is present. City is analogous to azimuthal quantum number, that is the subshell in which the electron is present. Locality would be the magnetic quantum number, that is, it will help in locating the orbital in which the electron is present, and the spin will give you, the house number is analogous to the spin of the electron. So just like you give your complete address like this is how the 4 quantum numbers completely describe the position of an electron. To start with, let me start with the principal quantum number. It is represented by a small letter n. It describes the principal energy level of an electron in an atom. You know the principal energy level, or the shell of an electron, that is associated with fixed energy state. This is a positively charged nucleus. There are shells around the nucleus. So in which shell, that is KLM or 1, 2, 3, integer 1, 2, 3, in which shell the electron is present is provided. This information is provided by the principal quantum number n. Alright, if I say n is equal to 2, this means that the electron is present in the second shell. If I say n is equal to 3, means that the electron is present in the third shell. So it describes the principal energy level in which the electron is present. It will also describe the size of the orbit. The principal quantum number can also give us information about the size or the radius of the orbit. And you know that if you follow this diagram, the K shell is the closest to the nucleus with the smallest radius. As you go on moving towards M, that is KLM, the energy will also keep on increasing and the radius will also keep on increasing. So it describes the energy, it describes the size. The possible values of n could be any integer 1, 2, 3 and so on. Now each shell, that is either K, L or M, can contain a maximum number of electrons, which is given by this simple formula, that is 2n square. Maximum number of electrons present in a shell. In a shell, please don't confuse with the maximum number of electrons present in an orbital, which I have just described earlier. Maximum number of electrons present in a shell is given by 2n square, where n is the shell number. So please pay attention. If n is equal to 2, if n is equal to 1, alright, and we put n as 1 in this formula, 2n square, the maximum number of electron would be 2, and 1 into 1 square, that is 1. So maximum number of electron in the first shell would be 2. Again, if the shell number is 2, 2 square would be 4. 2 into 4 would be 8. Maximum number of electrons in the second shell would be 8. 3 square would be 9. 9 into 2 would be 18. Maximum number of electrons in the third shell would be 18. So please remember this. This is important, that the maximum number of electrons that are present in a shell is equal to 2n square. So with the principal quantum number being represented as small n, it could have values equal to integers 1, 2, 3. It gives us information about the energy of the shell. It gives us information about the radius of the shell, and it is represented by n. The maximum number of electrons that are contained in a shell is equal to 2n square. Now the next quantum number we come to is known as the azimuthal quantum number, and it is represented by a small letter l. Azimuthal quantum number determines the sub-energy level or the subshell, as we call. Sub-energy level or the subshell of the electron, and also the shape of the subshell. Shape, we'll come to it in my next video when I'll be talking about the shapes of the orbitals and subshells. Alright, and it tells us about the sub-energy level, subshell, and the shape. So what information is conveyed by the azimuthal quantum number? It will tell us about the subshell to which the electron belongs. In which subshell is the electron located, that information is obtained from the azimuthal quantum number, where azimuthal quantum number is given by the formula L is equal to 0 TO2 n minus 1. 0 to n minus 1, where n is the principal quantum number. How you can understand this formula? Let's understand by this few very quick examples. If the value of the principal quantum number n is equal to 1, then we know that L is equal to 0 to n minus 1. If L is 1, we put 1 over here. 0 to 1 minus 1 would be 0. So L would have only one value, which is 0. Because 0 is included in this value in the formula 0 to n minus 1. Now if n is equal to 2, then L will have value 0 to n minus 1. According to 0 to n minus 1, it would be 0 to 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So 0 and 2 minus 1, 1. Alright, so it will have two values, that is 0 and 1. If n is equal to 3, then the values of L will be 0 to 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1 is 2. So the values of L would be 0, 1, 2. Means if the principal quantum number is 1, then the number of subshells is 1. The value is 0, but it has one subshell. If the principal quantum number is 2, the value of L is 0 and 1, and the number of subshells would be 2. Principal quantum number is 2, the value of L is 0 and 1, and the number of subshells would be 0 and 1, which means 2 subshells. Again, if n is equal to 3, the value of L is 0, 1, 2, and the number of subshells is 1, 2, and 3, that are 3 subshells. So this azimuthal quantum numbers also gives information about the shape of the subshell. As I've just told you, it tells us about the subshell in which the electron is present and the shape of the subshell. Now we take the value of the azimuthal quantum number. As we've just seen, it could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I take the value of azimuthal quantum number as 0, 1, 2, 3. The subshell notation for the given azimuthal quantum number 0 would be S. For azimuthal quantum number, the subshell notation would be P. The electron, if the azimuthal quantum number is equal to 1, the electron would be present in the P subshell. If the value of azimuthal quantum number L is equal to 2, the electron would be present in the D subshell. If it is 3, it would be present in the F subshell, and if it is 4, it would be present in the D subshell. And according to the subshell notation, I'll tell you the shapes. If the electron is present in the S subshell, the shape of the S subshell is spherical. The shape of the P subshell is dumbbell. We will talk in detail when I'll take my next lecture also on the boundary surface plots, and I'll just explain you in the next videos. Then D subshell has a shape of double dumbbell. Except there is an exception also in one of the subshells that also I'll talk about, that is dx square, which has a shape other than the double dumbbell. I will explain it to you. And then F, it has a complicated shape. So I hope this table is clear to you, that if the value of L is 0, the electron is present in the S subshell. If it is 1, it is present in the P. Please learn this up, it is extremely important. Now, what are the permissible values of L and what is the subshell notation? If n is equal to 1, L would be equal to, I can write the formula over here also, 0 to n minus 1. From there we calculate, and L will be equal to 0. So how do we represent the subshell? We represent it like 0 means it would be present in the S subshell. So S and 1 because it is present in the first shell. So 1s means it is present in the first shell, and it is present in the S subshell. Now if the principal quantum number is 2, the permissible values of L are 0 and 1, and we write it. For 0, because it is the second shell, it would be 0s second shell, that is why 2. So 2s. 1, you can see the subshell would be P, and because we are talking about the second shell, it would be 2P. Then 3, the permissible values of L are 0, 1, 2, right? 0, 1, 2. So it would be 3s for 0, 3p for 1, and 3d for 2. Likewise, fourth shell, the allowed values are 0, 1, 2, 3. See? 4s, 4p, 4d, and 4f. Now, here you can see a very, very prominent characteristic over here. That is the number of subshells that are present in a shell. Each shell is composed of subshell, I told you. How many subshells that are present in one shell is actually equal to the number of shell only. Is actually equal to n. That is, if n is equal to 1, you see there is only one subshell over here. If n is 2, you see there are 2 subshells over here. N is 3, there are 3 subshells over here. These are the values of L, but these are the number of subshells. If n is 4, then there are 4 subshells. So the number of subshells in a shell is equal to the principal quantum number. Students, also if you observe over here, if L is equal to 0, then the value would be 1s. The subshell representation would be 1s. We cannot write it 1p because that is not the allowed value for the p. For p, when L is equal to 1, then the p subshell exists. Then the electron exists in the p subshell. So from this table you can see that 1p, 2d, over here you can see there is no 2d, and 3f are subshells are not possible. So this is also an important observation which you should learn. That is 1p, 2d and 3f subshells are not possible because these are not the allowed values or the permissible values of the subshells, azimuthal quantum numbers. Students, these are important points that I am telling you repeatedly. You are asked multiple choice question types or one word complete type, or you are just asked which of the following is possible, which of the following is not possible. So all this should be gathered at one place so that you are able to answer these questions. Now next, if you see the energy, this is the order of energy I'll write order over here. This is the order of energy of various subshells in the same shell. In the same shell there can be numerous subshells, and in one shell the order of energy would be S less than P less than D less than F, which means that the energy of the S subshell is the lowest and the energy of the F subshell is the highest if present in the same shell. Also from the azimuthal quantum number, we can get the magnitude of the angular momentum by the formula, that is angular momentum MVR is equal to h upon 2 pi, which is h upon 2 pi under root L upon L plus 1, where L is the azimuthal quantum number. Students, as you can see from this expression, this is an expression that is used to give the magnitude of the angular momentum, and because it is dependent on the azimuthal quantum number and the value of n doesn't feature in the formula, we can say that the angular momentum does not depend on the value of n. That is, angular momentum is independent of the principal quantum number. Alright, now another important point, if I talk of the p subshell, 2p, 3p, 4p, here the difference is that this 2p belongs to the second shell, this 3p subshell belongs to the third shell, 4p belongs to the fourth shell. But all three, 2p, 3p or 4p, they will have the same angular momentum. And why will they have the same angular momentum? Let me tell you. The value of L is the same. That is given by P subshell is the same. The value of azimuthal quantum number would be the same. Hence, they will have the same angular momentum whether they are 2p, 3p or 4p, because it does not depend on the value of n. That is n which is equal to 2 in this case, equals to 3 in this case, equals to 4 in this case. It is independent on the value of n. That is why, and all have the same value of L, they will have the same angular momentum. Students, I will continue with the magnetic quantum number in my next video. Thank you so much.